What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shauna, and in today's video we are going to do a major declutter of my eyeshadow palette. It's been like almost 2 years since I've done this, and it's just time. Like, there's so much shit that I've gone through and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't touched that in literally over a year. So we're just gonna go through everything and hopefully declutter quite a bit. So let's get started. Here, I kind of broke everything up by brand as best as I could, and then I just have some miscellaneous that don't have any matching other brands that go with it. Let's start with Juvia's Place here. So first I have this Juvia's Place, the Rebel Mint. It's a quad, and this is what it looks like. So we have a more warm toned matte, a more cool toned matte, and then a lighter shimmer and a darker shimmer. I've literally used this once and never touched it again. I love mint shadow. It's just, I'm weird. I am not a quad person, and it's because it makes me feel limited on what I can do, and I don't like that. I'm a Sagittarius, so I don't like to be caged in, so I'm going to declutter this. Up next, we have this I Live, I Love 6-pack. We have some mint, some blue, some reddish oranges. This I absolutely love. So for right now, I think I am going to keep this. Up next, we have the Freak palette from Juvia's Place. I love this because it has almost all the major colors of the rainbow in it, and I love the artwork on this, so I am for now going to keep this one as well. Plus, that is my favorite shade of blue. Up next, I have the Magic Mini by Juvia's Place. I am embarrassed to say I haven't even touched this yet, but I'm going to keep it because look at this shade here. It's kind of hard in this lighting. I'm sitting on my floor, obviously, so I'm not like in my lights, but they have a shift to them. So I am going to make sure that I use this relatively soon. Let's move on to Ace Beauty. I fucking love Ace Beauty. But up first, we have this Falling For You palette. Look at this. They always have the most beautiful artwork on their palettes. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and it has the most beautiful fall shade. I'm going to put this in the maybe because I think I have something that's like this in my collection already. So I'm going to put it in the maybe, and then at the end of the video, I'll go through all the maybes and see if I'm going to shuffle anything around. I also got this in a BoxyCharm. This is the Ace Beauty Vintage Dawn palette, and that is what that looks like. It is absolutely gorgeous. I've only used this palette once as well, though. It's honestly this green and that orange is what had me keep it. Oh my god, I'm already fucking failing at this. I'm gonna put this in the maybe again. Also from BoxyCharm is the Ace Beauty Nostalgia palette. This is really pretty. I do feel weirdly limited by it though. Even though I love this green, it's like you can't really do much with it except for put it with that yellow. So there's, I wish it had like a little bit more, like another green. So this one I am gonna declutter. I literally used it once for that BoxyCharm video. All right, next is the Ace Beauty Paradise Fallen palette. This is one of the first palettes I ever bought, actually. It is the most beautiful purple palette. I love this palette so much, but it is very old. It looks really dry. So I'm going to declutter this, and I'm probably gonna just unfortunately throw it away. Plus, I have another palette that I bought long after getting this one that has all of these shades in it that I can use. Up next, from Pat McGrath and Bridgerton palette. It's really cute, but I have a shit ton of Pat McGrath palettes that I purchased after this that literally have all these colors in it. So I am going to declutter this one. Well, this is the Mothership 8. It's this one. I don't remember which one this is. And this is what it looks like. The shade here shifts green to pink. But as you can see, like that berry shade is here, you know, like, so this one here kind of has some of those shades from that Bridgerton palette. So I'm just gonna keep this one because I haven't gotten my money out of it yet, and it's fucking expensive. Alright, this is the Mothership 5, which looks like this. I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not getting rid of any of the big Pat McGraths because, again, I haven't gotten my money out of them yet. So that will be a keep. Alright, this is the Mothership 2, which looks like that. This is my like least favorite, but I've still done like really fun things with it because all of these really cool shimmers over this black look amazing. This is the Mothership 1, which has that like blue shade that was in the Bridgerton palette. So like I just don't need the Bridgerton one anymore. Okay, up next, let's do the Jeffree Star. First up, I know this palette isn't sold anymore, but I never fucking use it. This is the Thirsty palette. I mean, and I got it when it first came out. So, which I think that had to be like 2018. So there's no, like, I'm sure the mattes are still fine, but these shimmers were not that great. It's definitely expired. I mean, look how dry and crusty those shimmers look. They got hard pan really fast. He decided to like try something new. I'm just finally gonna get rid of it. I kept it last time and I literally have not touched it in the last 2 years. So I'm gonna declutter that. Next is the Blood Money palette. I am gonna keep this. I have used it a couple times and look, I have my mint in here. It's really nice. I also have those grungy olive greens, which I'm super obsessed with right now. So I am gonna keep this one. Next up is Blue Blood. Here's that. I've honestly never touched the neutrals in this palette once, and I haven't used this palette in forever. I'm gonna put this in the maybe because I have another blue palette I need to look at, and we'll get there eventually, but I may declutter it. Next up is the Conspiracy palette that he did with Shane Dawson. I love the neons in here. Again, I think I've only used this like twice. Yeah, the only reason I was keeping it the last few times, or the last time I was gonna do declutter, is for this shade here, but I like now have that shade. I'm just gonna declutter this because I never touch it, and I don't know, it's just like not a great palette in terms of, I mean, it's not that it's not good, I'm sure it's good for some people, but like it's random. It's just random. So this is the Alien palette. I know he doesn't sell this anymore either. The packaging's like cool, but it's a pain in the ass to work with. Again, we have these really nice grungy colors and then some brights. I am gonna keep this one because I still do really like this palette. Up next is the Mini Breaker, which looks like this. I'm gonna put this in, no, you know what? I never touched this palette. I am going to declutter it. And same with this Mini Controversy palette. I finally touched it for the first time this summer. I just never feel like inspired by anything when I look at it, so I'm just gonna declutter it. Next up, we have the Androgyny Palette, which is a gorgeous like fall themed palette. I'm gonna compare this, I'm gonna put it in the maybe because this came out the same time as the Subculture palette from ABH and they kind of have a similar vibe. So I'm gonna, when I get through my ABH, I'm gonna go back to this. Beauty Killer was his first palette ever. I haven't touched it since I first got it, to be very honest, because his other stuff is better. Again, this is like old formula. So I'm gonna declutter this finally. Next, we're gonna do ABH. This is the original Norvina palette. I honestly haven't touched this in so long. I am gonna keep it though. I don't have these shimmers up here in my collection, so I am gonna keep this one. The Sultry palette. This is honestly my go-to like glam palette, so definitely keeping. Soft Glam. Soft Glam I'm definitely keeping. Like, it's just such a good everyday use palette. Next up is Aina's palette. I will never get rid of this palette. Never. You couldn't pay me. Like, I fucking love her, so yeah, I'll just never get rid of it. All right, up next is Subculture. So here's this. Let me get the Androgyny palette and you can compare them. So you see both have a cranberry. You have that like greenish shade. You have like a weird cool tone brown. You see how similar they are? So I'm gonna declutter Androgyny and keep Subculture. And finally, in my standard size ABH collection, I have the Alyssa Edwards collection. I think I've only used it like twice, and I was honestly keeping it for the pink and the yellow, and I do like that blue. But honestly, these same shades, I'm pretty sure, are in the giant Norvina blue palette. Let's look at that really fast. So this is the Norvina Volume 2, okay, which looks like this, okay? You can see the Alyssa Edwards in there. There we go, now you can see it. So like, that blue is kind of there, the pink is there, the yellow is there. The only thing that's missing is purples, but you're gonna see a purple come up. So I'm gonna declutter Alyssa Edwards. I'm keeping the Norvina Volume 2. And my final ABH is the Volume 3. Which, let's compare it to the Ace Beauty. Okay, so here is the Volume 3. Yeah, see, we got a very similar vibe. So I'm going to declutter the Ace Beauty and keep the Volume 3. All right, next up, let's do Colourpop. I just bought this. It's so cute. This is the In a Trance palette. This is like my pastel dream. That's what I should have put on my eyes today to film this. It is so cute. So I'm definitely keeping this one. This is the Mar palette. I don't use it often, actually. It only has 3 mattes. I honestly kept it for the cobalt blue shade and then this really cool shimmer, but and this mint. But I'm going to declutter this. Next up is Lilac You a Lot. So cute. Oh my god. It's really cute. But I'm going to put this in the maybe because I think my big purple palette has all these shades, but maybe not these shimmers. So this is going to go in the maybe. Up next is Blue Moon. And that looks like this. And honestly, I think I'm going to declutter the Jeffree and keep this one. This is just much more concise. I don't have all those neutrals that I'm never using, like ever. All right, next up is Orange You Glad from Colourpop, which looks like this. I'm gonna keep it because I fucking love orange eyeshadow. Next up is Big Poppy, which is an all matte palette. Honestly, I'm gonna declutter this. I got it because I was like, oh cool, deeper oranges. But if I have the Soft Glam and the Subculture, I don't need this one. And I don't like that there's no shimmers. And I'm not a single, like, I have a few Super Shocks, but I don't really fuck with them like that. I forget about them because of my ADHD. However, this one, this is also an all matte palette, but this Little Ray of Sunshine, I fucking love it so much because I am obsessed with sunflowers. I can't look at them, like in the middle where the sunflower seeds grow. That grosses me out, but I love sunflowers. And the lighting right now is not doing this palette justice, but I'm going to be keeping this one. This is the Elsa palette from when Frozen 2 came out. Look at how beautiful this is. It's so pretty. I need to use this some more. I'll be keeping this one. Up next is my all-time favorite Colourpop palette. It is the Sweet Talk palette. It's kind of hard to show you because the packaging is fucking rainbow, like gold hologram. But anyway, it's like a perfect spring palette. I use it all the time. keeping that. This is what is on my eyes today, and I will never get rid of it unless like I go through a major life change, because I'm obsessed with the Powerpuff Girls. So keeping this one. Next up, this was a build your own palette that I did through Colourpop. I would love to like declutter this whole set, even though I think the colors are really pretty. I was trying to emulate, there's this one like cool toned, I think it's the 35C Morphe palette. Like there are some shades in here that I really like this shimmer here and like this really cool blue, but I just don't ever reach for this. It comes with a blush and a highlight. Yeah, I'm just not really a cool toned girly right now. It's not my journey. And then on the other hand, we have this like fiery spicy. This one I really like. I'm gonna keep this one. We got some pressed glitters in here. Yeah, I'm keeping this one. And the last item from Colourpop is this So Jaded palette. I don't think you can buy this anymore. I honestly bought it for this emerald shade here and then just cannot find anything to do with it. Like I look at this palette, and even though it has those grungy tones that I like, I'm just so uninspired. I don't know what it is. It's like the shimmers don't really go with the mattes. There's like a lot of warm tones in here, but then like some random cool tones, and this, it's not a green, it's not a gold, it's not a green, and like it just really doesn't go with anything, and it's put together in a way where I can see what that should go with, but when I first look at it, I just find it very overwhelming. My ADHD doesn't really appreciate it. So I've literally used this once, and I'm going to be decluttering it because it just sits and takes up space, and every time I pull it out, I'm like, I can't do anything with this. Next, I have a little bit of Too Faced stuff. This is a holiday that my sister got for me. It's the Cinnamon Bear. I've used it once. I'm not really, like, I thought it was cute when it first came out, but I don't know. Too Faced is so uninspiring. This I kept for the longest time because my kid bought it for me, meaning my mom bought it, but whatever. She got it at like Marshall's or TJ Maxx. I have the Soft Glam. I don't need this palette, so I'm finally gonna declutter it. I don't know what their weird thing is of doing like orangey tones and then a random pop of blue. And that was the gingerbread extra spicy. I bought you couldn't find the gingerbread regular spice anymore, so I got this cute mini, and I've literally never touched it. Every time I open it up, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I can see looking at it like what I can do with it, but again, it's just one of those things where it feels limiting. And okay, honestly, does anyone use dark shimmers? Anyone, let me know in the comments if you actually use dark shimmers on your lid. I find them so weird because even if they're really they're never like really shimmery because there's so much base pigment to them, so it's almost like it just gets lost. So yeah, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm just gonna do it. Next, we got a whole fucking stack of Morphe here. This is the Morphe 18B, which is Make and Bank. This is a really cute palette. Has those nice grungy tones. This is gonna go in the maybe. I need to compare it to my Jeffree Star one, but I do like that yellow. And I need to compare it to another Morphe one that's coming up here. So I'm gonna put this one off to the side for now. This is the 18F. This is really pretty. It's basically a dupe for the Norvina palette. I'm going to declutter it because I have the Norvina palette. It's so pretty though. This Coca-Cola, I have the original Coca-Cola and Morphe palette. It's really cute, but it's actually a lot of neutrals and the two reds kind of blend into one another. I liked it because of this, this, and this. And now I look at it and I'm like, it's just neutrals with pop of red and some blue. So I'm going to declutter this. Next up is the Maddie Ziegler palette, the very first one. I've literally touched this palette once and never again. It's cute. I like the mint and all that, but I just never reach for it, and I've been keeping it for that yellow. But I have yellow in the Norvina palette, so I'm going to declutter this one. I don't even know who this person is. I honestly bought it because it had water activated liners at the bottom. Still haven't touched it. I promise I will. But here we are. Her name is Avani Greg. I'm old, so I don't know who the fuck that is. Just a cute rainbow palette moment. And then these smaller pans are water activated liners. And I'll be honest, I didn't have a red activated liner, so I bought it kind of for that. If it wasn't on sale, I wouldn't have bought it. This I just got because I wanted a dupe for the Gemini 2 palette. And here it is. This is the 35A Up Till Dawn. It has those grungy greens. I was looking for basically a dupe of, like I said, the Gemini 2, which is all rose tones. So that is why I got that. So I'm keeping that for now because I literally just got it. This I will never get rid of, even if I don't use it, which I haven't in a while, because it is my fucking childhood. And it is the Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper palette. Another standard rainbow palette. It's so cute. I love it so much. This Icy Fantasy, the 35i. It's a pretty pastel palette. I'm weirded out by the fact that there's not really a pastel pink, and so I don't really like use it too much. And I have pastel pinks in other palettes, so I'm going to declutter this one. It's cute, it performs well. I have used it a couple times. I just don't like, I reach for other things. Up next is the 3503. I originally bought this to be a dupe for the Norvina Volume 3. I like it, but because I have that other one now, I'm going to declutter this. But it's really fucking pretty. It's fun. I like it. It's really fun. I used it a lot. And the final Morphe, this is a 39S. Which is why I don't need the other purple palette. I love this palette so much. I haven't touched it in a long time, but it is a really fucking good palette. So, keeping... Next up, I have some Natasha Denona, like 5s. So this one I got in a BoxyCharm. Again, it's called Aina. Good palette. Like, I did use it once. It's excellent. It's just, again, I'm not really a small palette person. Plus, these aren't really like my favorite shades of brown. So I'm going to declutter that. This one is one I wanted from BoxyCharm, so I got it when BoxyCharm was having one of their shops. So I got it for super cheap. But again, it's not my thing. This is actually a shimmer. Again, does anyone use dark shimmers? I made a cool look out of it. It's just, I'm never going to reach for this. And then I got sucked into this because I was hoping that this would be a beautiful emerald green. It was their holiday collection last year, but it's not. It has a black base to it, so it doesn't come off as like emerald green. This is really pretty, but again, I'm never going to use this. That was $25 down the drain. But anyway, declutter. This is Dose of Colors, the Friendcation palette, I think it's called. This is a really cool palette. I like it a lot, but again, it has dark shimmers that I've never touched. I've only touched these two. As much as I love this shimmer, yeah, beautiful color story, but I think it's time to let it go. And it's funny because I even bought it used off of someone on Depop. This is what I bought because I stopped supporting Jeffree Star to dupe. So I got the Blood Money palette on Depop, but this is like a perfect dupe. It's the Avocado palette from I Heart Revolution. It's really cute, but now that I have the Blood Money, I'm just going to declutter this one. This is an old palette from Wet n Wild. I got it because my kid was obsessed at the time with Pac-Man. It's a Wet n Wild and Pac-Man collection. really cute. This orange shimmer was kind of crap, but everything else was nice. But I have these colors all over the place now, so I'm just going to declutter this. This I've kept around so long because of the packaging, and it looks so pretty, and it kills me to declutter this between the packaging and the color story. But there's just something about Huda Beauty shadows that do not work for me. They always feel dry. Like, I'm finally gonna declutter it. This was e.l.f.'s summer collection 2 years ago. This was the e.l.f. Retro Paradise. I got sucked in by these two, or actually these three. But yeah, I'm gonna declutter. I haven't touched it since I used it. I thought I was gonna use it all the time. I was obsessed with it. Okay, up next from Dominique Cosmetics is the Celestial Storm. My last declutter, I decluttered a mini that we got in a BoxyCharm, and they had the big one on sale at Sephora. Look at this gorgeous color story. I should use it more than I do, but I am gonna keep it because I do really fucking like it. All right, this is from Kaleidos. This is their Futurism 5, the Electro Turquoise. Love this palette so much. Not decluttering. And then it's weird because it's only a 6-pan, but I can do stuff with this palette. I don't know how to explain it. Plus, it's orange and mint, and I fucking love orange and mint together. Next up from Kaleidos is the Flower Punk palette, which you would think is a melt palette because it kind of looks like it. Again, we have those grungy greens and like that grungy mauve shade and some mint. These shimmers over here are really just toppers, but this one's really nice. I fucking love this palette, and I'll be keeping it. Up next, from Glamlight, the Icy Cherry palette. Because I got rid of my blood sugar palette, I needed a red palette, and I love this one, so I will be keeping it. On the other hand, the Blue Raspberry palette. I got the PR set without getting like the big box. Like, you could just buy the PR set without the box. So this is the Blue Raspberry, and I was not as impressed with this one. I was hoping to like replace my Blue Blood palette because it had that mint and it had like whatever, but some of the blue shades, not blue shades, but like not the blue mattes, but the blue shimmers were exactly the same looking on the eye. So it didn't, and then there was like no icy white shade like there is, like there's an icy pink shade in the red one. There's no, like it looks like this is, but up close it's really not. It has a shift to it. So no good inner corner highlight for me, but I'm gonna be decluttering the Blue Icy. This we got in a BoxyCharm. This is called the Queen palette from Eloise. Beautiful color story. It's like stunning. I've honestly been keeping it around because of this blue shade that I've yet to use. So because I have these purples and pinks and so many other shades in other palettes, I am going to declutter this one, but it performed really well. All right, this I got from BoxyCharm on their shop. They had like, it was a 4-pack of eyeshadow, blush, highlight, and bronzing palettes. So this is the eyeshadow palette. It's pretty. It's standard though. But I'm going to declutter this. I'm never going to use this. This we also got in a BoxyCharm. It's from Storybook Cosmetics. They do all their things to look like a book. So cute. I literally used this once, and I'm going to declutter it. I kept it, and I kept telling myself, like, oh, you're going to use it, you're going to use it. It's just not the type of color story I'm into. It's very cool toned with the exception of a few shades, which is cool, but it's just not my jam. So I'm going to declutter that. All right, this I got in a BoxyCharm from Violet Boss. Violet Boss has good shit, but this is called the Violet Sunset. Not very sunsetty in my opinion. It was a pretty look that I created. Of course I was going to use this shade. It's a nice palette, it blends well. Just the name doesn't match for me. I have 2 palettes from Midas Cosmetics. This is in collaboration with an influencer called the Basic Bee, and this is called the Perception palette. This palette is so fucking cool. You have your brights. Oh, a pan fell out. Okay. I think it's barely glued in there. Okay, you have your brights and you have your grungy tones, and then the shimmers are all duochrome. So that's really cool. So I will be keeping this palette. All right, next I have the old packaging from Dominique Cosmetics Flower Bomb palette. Standard rainbow palette. I am going to finally declutter this because like it doesn't have a yellow. The only yellow is a glitter. And I just have other rainbow palettes. And I don't really use a lot of pressed glitter anymore that's colorful. And I do have a whole palette. I didn't take it out because it's with my glitter collection, but I have a whole palette of pressed glitters that I can use instead. So I'm finally going to declutter this. I love it. It has good quality. It's just I have other rainbow palettes. And the final palette from Colored Rain, which I will never stop talking about how good of blendability Colored Rain is the Juicy Boost palette. It has the oranges in there that I love. That's honestly why I bought the palette. I use this quite a bit actually. I just did a look with it on my channel. That's actually the last video I'm using this palette. So yeah, I'll be keeping that one. Now to go back to these. I am going to declutter this because it does look a lot like the Jeffree Star, and that yellow I do have in a different palette. So that was the 18B from Morphe. I'm going to compare the lilac to my purple Morphe palette here. Okay, this is actually different enough, so I'm going to keep the lilac one. And going back to this palette, Vintage Dawn. Yeah, I'm keeping this one. I love this palette so much, and I have since plus I don't have a lot of navy in my collection. Even the Blue Blood palette, or not the Blue Blood, but the Norvina Volume 2 doesn't have like a good navy. So I'm going to keep this one. So that is it, guys. Let me show you what we got rid of. That pile right there is what we're getting rid of. So I think we did a pretty good job. So thank you so much for watching. I'll put in the description below if I'm going to put them on Depop. That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Follow me on all my social media. You can find me at Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SeanMarie_84. I love you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.